Elon Musk making a lot of promises in Tesla's first quarter earnings call. Those promises, a cheaper EV vehicle and also the highly anticipated robo-taxi. We want to bring in Greg Migliore. He's Autoblog's editor-in-chief, also our very own press Supermanian, who has closely been following this story for us here at Yahoo Finance. But Greg, let me start with you. Just first, your reaction to what seemed to be enough for those, I keep calling them Tesla believers, but Tesla believers out there. They heard what they wanted to hear, and that's enough to send shares higher this morning. How realistic do you think Tesla's plan is for a cheaper EV and then also eventually that robo-taxi?
Hey, good morning, guys. I think Elon Musk and Tesla said exactly what they had to say after weeks of criticism and taking a lot of heat for this pivot, apparently away from a lower cost vehicle that we think was going to be called the Model 2 to robo-taxis. We knew earnings were going to be lackluster by Tesla standards, and combined with the layoffs and all these high profile executives departing, Tesla knew it was taking heat. They had to respond. As far as making like a robo-taxi, I think this is potentially the graveyard of where automakers go to maybe not die, but waste a lot of money. Volkswagen, General Motors, Ford, Amazon, you name it. They have tried and maybe not totally failed, but they've faced a very uphill battle. That being said, I think, I wouldn't count Tesla and Elon Musk out. I think when you look at Elon's mindset, he always wants to do what's next. So when you try to crawl inside his brain, making a small, cheap car doesn't really seem like a big play for him. He wants to put the world on autonomous wheels. And I think that's what he's trying to do here.
Right, but that promise that investors are buying, there's not a lot of fundamental there, right? So I want to bring it back to the likelihood of that fundamental dream he's selling coming true. How likely is it that we're going to get a $25,000 car within the next 12 months?
Within the next 12 months, I think I would put it more like 18 months to 2 years. I think there's like automaker time, and then there's Tesla time. I think if this were Toyota or General Motors, they could probably get that vehicle out in about, a normal timeline. I think with Tesla, they usually are about 6 months to a year behind what you would expect from a traditional automaker.
Hey, Greg. So last night also on the call, they talked a lot about the next-gen platform, but that these newer cars would use a mix of next-gen, possibly components, and also the current platform so they can be built on the existing lines. I'm guessing your take is that it must be the only way to get these cars out sooner, right? I mean, everyone needed to see them come out now rather than later.
Yeah, I think Tesla's taken a fair amount of criticism for letting its cars get old. They haven't done very much to update them in the last few years. In this case, I actually think it's probably a pretty smart business strategy. It's pretty common practice in the car business to take parts of outgoing platforms and use the good parts that still work and then redevelop them with something a little bit more advanced for the next generation. So I think that makes sense, especially when you look at Tesla's manufacturing footprint. They're trying to, produce vehicles in China, the United States, and Europe. They need to have some commonality and some simplicity. And I think this gives that to them as far as trying to maintain some level of quality and consistency. Because, they did just lay off thousands of people. So when you do that, you often see quality dips. So I think this is probably a conservative approach, but you've seen it time again in the car business as far as platform redevelopment over years.
Is it going to be enough, though, the long-term play, right? Not even longer term, the next 12 to 18 months, is it going to be enough to reaccelerate the growth that has been missing inside Tesla?
I don't think it will. I think, honestly, it's going to take them a while to get these things out. I think Tesla's in probably for a rough maybe year or so, being a little cynical and skeptical about their prospects. I think they're in a time of transition. I think the Cybertruck hasn't been the home run that they wanted it to be. I mean, obviously, it's being recalled. So there's challenges there. I think the Model 2, if that's what they end up calling it, or the small vehicle, will take time to get out there and then, see if there's a market for it. I think consumers are excited about the fact that it could be a cheaper Tesla, but I don't think they want a Tesla that's below the quality, the premium experience they've come to expect from other models. So I think Tesla could be in for a rough year or so.
Okay, so Greg, pull out the crystal ball for me. Let's say you and I are talking a year from today. What's the headline going to be on Q1 2025 for Tesla?
I think in Q1 2025, it will be another situation where we'll probably see things like Tesla earnings disappoint as production is slow to ramp up for robo-taxis and the Model 2. I think it'll continue to be a time of transition. And then maybe towards the end of next year, that's when some of these things tend to gain traction for Tesla. Tesla is such a boom and bust company that it's usually going well until it isn't, and then vice versa. So I think it's going to take 18 months for them to get traction, and then being Tesla, they probably will come out with a couple of strong products and start making a gargantuan amount of money, and things will be okay with them for a few years.
All right. Greg, we're going to have to leave it there. Actually, Praz, did you have one more question?
Just real quick about China. We had the Beijing Auto Show kicking off today, I believe. A lot of heat there, a lot of big manufacturers and Chinese upstarts there in the EV world. What do you think about Tesla in China? Can they kind of keep their kind of footprint there? Are they going to kind of be still a big player?
I think so. I think Tesla is such a expanded, growing market that it really is a great opportunity for Tesla. They have a factory. The market is growing. The government is providing incentives for EV buyers. And it is the market that has the single greatest acceptance rate of the technology of the world. So China is sort of just a wide open field for Tesla and all EV makers right now.
All right, Greg, we are going to have to leave it there now. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Greg is Autoblog's editor-in-chief. And of course, Praz, thank you so much. And great question on China at the end. I'm glad we got that in there.